All right, so we have the one and only Miles in the building.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Yes,
bro.
sir.
Glad
Yes,
to
sir.
Be here. Let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Yeah. We gotta make a match.
There it is. Right.
Smooth,
you know what I'm saying?
smooth,
Gotta
smooth.
get it.
Yeah, man. So,
Yeah.
my man.
Man, what's good, Val?
What they don't know is that it took like 2 hours just to set up.
Yo, for real. We've been here for a minute, people.
yeah. We're in this hot room right now,
Right.
man. Well, let's talk about what you're up to now. So, how would you describe how would you describe your expertise?
Man, I would describe it as education technology or ed tech.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm really about is building digital communities for people to start learning in new and creative ways so that they can basically manifest their destiny, right? So when I talk to people and I'm like, yeah, go to college and all that. And then like, their main response a lot of times like, for what? It's overpriced. I'm not guaranteed a job. And I was like, well, you're not, it's like, how do I create a community, a mindset, basically? How do I create a mindset for people to think that school is valuable?
Right.
And then I had to realize that it wasn't that school was valued, it was that education is valued.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about a structure anymore. I don't care about a building. I care about what you learn, and I care about how you apply what you learn to your life. And then, in this era, technology is just the way to do it.
So when you say, okay, there's like two things that just came to mind for me. The first one was that conversation about why go to school.
Yeah.
Dude. And I think I'm grateful because, I got my bachelor's in nursing. So I had a job months after I graduated.
Yeah.
And it was a nice paying job. Most majors were not set up like that.
And most people are taking like a year to get a job after college.
But even the job that they get though,
it's not what they want. It's not something that they love. It's not what they went to college for.
Yeah.
It's not a dream career. To be honest, I have a lot of people who go to college and whether they drop out or whether they graduate, if they don't pick the right major, don't make the right connections, they're working at Nordstrom Rack.
Whew.
They fly though. Fresh.
They're fresh while they're
Great
doing
people, smart as you can name it, right? Like put a book in front of them, they can read it, they can tear through it, they can understand it, they can write a whole paper on it.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between your education and your career.
Right.
There's a difference between college and career. When you think about it, like a lot of people put those two things together. Like, come to this college and career readiness or college and career preparation. Like, no one says that one preparation gives you preparation for the other.
They leave that part out.
Yeah. And
you went to school. What was your degree?
I had one of those.
You had one of those?
I had one of those degrees that doesn't work, like humanities. So I majored in political science.
I mean, but political science from UCLA though,
I mean, but like it's political science.
But still, right.
Right, so it doesn't really matter. So that's like going to UCLA. I think your Cal State LA nursing degree is more valuable than my UCLA political science degree. I think coming
because
into
of the
an interview,
return on it. I'm thinking return on investment.
I'm thinking if you want a direct return on investment, just becoming a nurse, like instantly. You're talking about like at standard nurse job, $65K or more, right? Yeah. And then if you're a traveling nurse and you know how to finesse that right, you can be making six figures, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's more valuable. I'm coming out with a poli-sci degree and people are like, so what can you do?
Dang.
Versus you coming into an interview and they're like, have you actually done what you learned? We value what you learned. So people are just like, so you can talk about politics. Great. Tell me something I don't know about Trump.
Dang.
So what do I do with that? So
I was just gonna ask you, what do you do?
Senior year, I'm like, I majored in poli-sci, which is the same as majoring in humanities, English, African American studies, pick your favorite culture studies.
Exactly.
Right? So all those degrees basically just, you have more knowledge and maybe self-awareness, but I was like, all I know how to do is go to school. I've gone to school, K through 12, gone to college, done pretty well, right? Always had like a 3.0 or higher, right? I'm a geek, so I'm good at school. Yeah. And I got the senior year, said I need to go to school. So I applied to school again and got a master's in education because I was like, this whole time I've been going to school, but I've been helping people get into school. So while I was in undergrad, I'm going to like Crenshaw High, LAZINESS. These are two high schools in Los Angeles, and they're I'm helping people and coaching people how to get into school.
Yeah.
So I got a master's in education because I had friends who dropped out, who got strung out on cocaine, or like just became homeless, like living on my couch in my dorm.
Dang, man.
Right? And these people couldn't afford school, couldn't find a purpose. And I was like, school needs to be restructured so people can find their purpose and their destiny. So then school will have more of a purpose.
Right.
That's the gap right there.
There it is, yeah.
If you don't know your purpose, everything you do, whether it's school, a job, doesn't matter, it won't be fulfilling.
How do you even see that happening? You know what I'm saying? How do you see it there being a restructuring to where that ends up being the case? I don't. I just feel like people are so fixed on money, like the business of university or school, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I like to call it the business of college, right? And so, so here's the thing, right? So I'm biased, right? I'm biased because when I got my master's in education from UPenn over in Philly, right? After that, started being an advisor at Drexel University in the honors program. Then I started teaching, right? And I taught classes on the business of college. So I come from a biased academic perspective, but I'm a radical academic, right?
Yeah.
So schools will not be restructured. It will not happen. They are doing exactly what they're designed to do. I challenge everyone to read the mission statement of their university.
It's right there.
You've never read it. You've graduated.
Right.
You've been out of school 5 years.
I can't say that I've read it either.
Right? People go enroll. This is my perfect school. Why? And they'll name everything but the school's mission. And then get mad at the university for achieving its mission.
Wow.
Which is probably just to create and disseminate knowledge. On a basic level, most universities are just trying to be the new hotness. They want to write the new book. They want to discover that new star. They want to find a new cure for this and that and then tell the world they found it. And there's nothing in there that probably says they want to actually use the cure. There's nothing in there that says that we want to help you develop your purpose or your destiny. And so I think people are mad at universities because of what somebody on the block, someone in their high school told them college could do for them. But the college itself never said, I will help you find your purpose. I will help you find your next great job. I will develop your career. I've never heard a college advisor or admissions person say that.
So, okay. So if that's the case, then what do we do? Because obviously there's a big ass gap.
Yeah.
And there's so many people who go in thinking a certain way, but they're not getting what they want. What do we do?
I have an answer. My answer is self-education.
Good.
Right? So,
good.
I believe that self-education is greater than higher education. I believe that higher education is worth the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you pay to go there because it aligns. I understand the mission.
Right.
But what's more important is that, life teaches you a lesson, whether you want it or not. And you can apply that lesson or you cannot.
Or you cannot.
And you can learn the lesson again. I think that God, the universe, life, whatever you want to call it, society is a greater teacher than whoever is in the classroom. Hands down. And you remember that lesson. You remember like when you fell on your face and you had to pick yourself
up. Pain.
Right? That pain.
Man.
Pain is a great teacher.
Oh, man.
Talk about Professor Pain.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So,
you're right.
So that's what I think the answer is. And I think that's what I want to do with like my education tech communities and like building these digital learning communities is I want people to understand that like what you're going to really learn and what you're going to really value in life is already in your hands. But you now need to, there's no structure for learning from life. And I think that's what I want to create more than anything is a structure to learn from life. Because school is just an organized way to understand what people have achieved in life.
Right. Yeah. Right. So how do you see this happening? Like with what you're saying, how do you see yourself creating this? What does it look like to you for, let's say, someone who's in their early 20s, 20, 21, 22-year-old trying to figure things out?
Okay. YouTube University.
Nice.
Start with YouTube.
YouTube.
Like,
wait, so you say you got some, you're like video master though. Like I know you already have a bunch of videos. I see you all the time.
I got like 100 or something.
You putting out content though, man. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're already going somewhere with this.
Yeah. I think it already exists. I don't think we even have to create, like, It's just applying a certain type of like structure to yourself.
Yeah.
So I think between Google Suite, Google Classroom, YouTube, you can create your own learning process, right? You can use Excel spreadsheets to create trackers to see where you at on your progress for what you're trying to learn and achieve in life. So earlier we were talking about life hacks, right? And I was saying that I have life hacks, but I have my mindset right? And I'm making efforts now to create the habits and behaviors that will match the mindset that I have so that I can be my best me, right? And that's all that we're ever trying to do in life. Is trying to make sure that what we say matches what we do. That's it, right? You know, and there's always a gap. At least I have a gap.
Yeah, I think unhappiness or people being unhappy is a result of that gap, and how they process that, whatever that gap is, right?
You would be happier if you saw the progress you made to get to where you are.
Yeah.
You know, I think as human beings, we're so ambitious naturally that we just look up and we're like, look how far I have left to go.
And that's it. And that being the only perspective. Yeah.
We hardly ever look down and say, wow, I've made it pretty far.
Right.
I've climbed a tall mountain.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Okay.
So I think when it comes to education, trying to structure how you learn from life, I think that YouTube is great because you can learn from other people's stories. We love storytelling. You go back to the days of Africa. That's how we learn. Here's
all
a story.
Stories. This is before anything written.
Exactly. And then when people start writing, what are they writing down? Stories.
Right.
And then they're writing down behaviors. We call them laws. So I feel like that's the only thing we ever care to write down, right? Here's a story of what happened or what should happen or what could happen or what I wish happened. Right? Fiction, nonfiction, whatever, right? Then you're writing down law. This is what needs to happen in order for success to be real, based upon what I define success as. So I challenge people all the time. What's your purpose? What does success mean to you? What's that definition? What's your vision? What's your goal? What are you doing? Like, what's the goal? Now, let's figure out how to get there.
How to get there. That's the point. Yeah.
Right? Like, just like you setting up the cameras today. I know I want this camera view. I know I want the lights here. I want to get a certain look. Yep. All right. This is what I want. Now, like I'm going to set it up this way. Oh, wait. But it's hot. Okay. No, wait, no, let's leave the house. Let's go to here. Oh, we can go to the okay, but no, the filter. Okay, why is it playing like that in slow motion?
Man, we spent like 20 minutes on slow motion, man.
Let me call my brother and figure it out and see how he does it and how he works it out. Okay, now we got it. Hear it.
Yeah,
we hear it now.
So true.
And so I think people get mad that life is not a straight line and that it's not laid out and that they don't want to go through it. But we hear it.
People are not willing to go through that process. Yeah, that's right. And then they give up. What happens is it gets really hard and really difficult, really frustrating, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Maybe it's not meant for me. But that's not the case.
It's not the case. It's meant for you.
Right.
It's just that it's not meant to be easy for you. And I think people hate trying.
People, man. Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to. I think that like a lot of people, and I include myself in this, are lazy about what we really want. And we're lazy to think about it. We're lazy to plan it out. We're lazy to execute on it.
Right. It's
very easy to say like, oh, I want to move to, Beverly Hills and drive this type of car. Like that's the easiest thing to do is just to think about that. Right. But then figuring out, okay, so what's the process to get there? What's the plan that I can create to get there?
Right.
And then when it doesn't go according to plan, people are like, well, I guess I should give up now. Like, no.
That's not it.
You know how many times Phil Jackson probably drew a freaking play that didn't end up with Kobe taking the game-winning shot? Kobe got the ball and was like, nah, I'm going to just take the shot my way. And they still won the game.
They still anyway.
Still got championships. So you can draw a play up and it can not go that way. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I want Kobe to take the game-winning shot, but Fisher was open. So Fisher's taking the shot, or Ori, or whoever, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, that's why I think it's important that like people also recognize that like, look, you can plan it as much as you want to. And when you plan it as much as you want to, it probably will not go that way. Mm-hmm. But if you think about team dynamics and why people love sports, is that when you're weak, someone else can be strong.
But that's the purpose of a team to me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if people are lifting, one person is complementing someone else's weakness.
Yeah.
And then everybody's just playing at their strengths. That's what I see a team being.
Right. And you play to your strengths and then you just let your strengths dominate. I think about that all the time of like the Golden State Warriors. I'm like, it's strong. Just strong.
Man. I just love seeing the game because of that, because of how you see each person playing. It's amazing to see that when a team actually comes together and performs like that. It's amazing. Beautiful thing.
Right.
Beautiful thing.
Beautiful
to see.
thing. Like it's like artwork. You know, it's just like wow, like look at that, like just art and movement.
And then now it's like there's an elegance to it. It's like, man, they just make it look so good. Like it's finessing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Smiling and laughing, you know, it's exactly. Exactly, man. Exactly. So that's amazing. So let's talk about your book, man.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So this is my copy.
This is your copy. Signed to you.
Thank you, man. No, that's thank you. And I'm a bookworm, so
hey, tear through it.
I definitely will. So self-education is great in higher education.
Yeah.
Tell me what this
I could have
book is
stopped
about.
right there, in my opinion. Like I thought the title was enough.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean,
that's it.
it's funny because when you see the title, it sparks some curiosity. It's like, well, what you mean? You know what I mean? Like, well, what you talking about? Wait, really? What are you talking about? So how would you?
The title makes you either choose whether you agree or you disagree instantly.
Yeah. It compels you to think about that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about this book. So, why?
Okay. Okay, there's a couple of reasons. Reason one was that I was 23 years old when I taught my first university class at Drexel. Then I turned 24, and now I get my own course. So I go from teaching one class to teaching 11 classes over like a semester, all me, right? Because we're in a quarter system, so it was like 11-week quarters.
At Drexel.
Right, at Drexel. So a little shorter than a semester. And I walk in and the students are like, wow, like Professor Miles. They just call me Professor Miles, right? Like probably about 2-3 weeks in, and it sticks and starts spreading around, right? Like, hey, have you heard about that cool black guy that's like teaching like the classes on college and business? And I'm playing music videos to describe stuff. Like they're just like, no one's doing this. And it's a STEM school, right? So science, technology, engineering, math, STEM school. So they're not used to anything cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like STEM, great career track. You're going to make some money, but it's the most boring thing ever.
Yeah. And it's like very methodical. Just, I get it.
Yeah. And so I started doing that. I get nicknamed Professor Miles. I love it. I take the name off. Like I take off with the name. I change my Instagram name, change my Twitter name, Professor Miles. And what it comes down to is that when I walked in with what I would call like real professors, right? Like I'm an adjunct faculty member. I'm part-time. I walk in around the full-times who got tenure, talking about I've written 20 books and I've written 1,000 articles. And I'm like, man, I thought I was doing something.
Right, exactly.
Right? 24, teaching a class.
Doing it.
When I'm around 24-year-olds, winning. I get around the professors and I'm losing. I don't have the accolades they have. And I'm like, I need to write a book. But I was like, I don't want to write a book just to say I write a book. So I go on to reason two, right? My students are constantly coming into my office because I'm an advisor full-time. I'm a teacher part-time.
Okay.
So, full-time, coming into my office. How do I do this? How do I increase my memory? How do I learn more? How do I take advantage of college? What am I not doing that I should be doing in order to succeed in college, right? So I started breaking all this stuff down. I'm creating charts. I'm creating diagrams. I'm doing it for them on spot, off the brain, but I'm saving them.
Hey, man.
Saving them for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, right? So I started advising them when I was 23. And by the time I was 25, I'm like, I gotta write this book because I'm embarrassed when I go around other professors that they have books. But more importantly, I'm tired of telling my students the same thing.
Man, okay.
Which is like, what's my purpose? What's my destiny? And how does school help me find that and live that now? It's basically what all their questions were. Right? Outside of like, how do I get an A? Right? So this book sums up how to get an A, how to take control of your college experience, and how to get like all your value that you really want from college. Everything that you say that you wish college provided you that we just talked about, oh, dream career, this experience, that experience, you can get all of that. But you have to be incredibly intentional about the life lessons and the life classes that are happening after real class. And so this guide of self-education is greater than higher education. Teaches you. It shows you and opens your minds because I did it, right?
It came from you.
Right. But we didn't go to college and say, okay, cool, I'm gonna just go to class.
Right.
Right? We didn't say I'm going to go to class and parties, which is like really the bare minimum. And that's what most people are doing in college. They're actually not a part of a club or organization or fraternity or sorority. Like they literally are just like students, which sounds so boring to me. How can you just go to school? Nothing's that exciting in class where you're just going to school.
You just go, yeah.
Right? Then like, oh, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna work, but there's no intentionality behind the work. I'm gonna just go work wherever at the mall because I want to be fresh, I want to be fly, and I'm like, that's okay for now, right? Like I had a job at the school gym washing towels, so I can't talk about all my jobs are glorious.
How old were you when that happened?
20.
Hey man, you gotta make ends meet, bro.
Washing dirty, nasty towels. I don't even know what's happening in the locker room, but like all of it came on the towel. Like it was just,
I don't want to think about that one.
It was disgusting, bro.
And I'm a nurse. I've seen it all.
Yeah. In LA, I feel like there's a lot of conformity for people to be popular and do what's popular, right?
Yep.
A lot of times, and maybe people feel like this in other cities, but in LA, I feel like LA is a huge high school.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was not expecting that.
A huge high school.
That's a great way to put it too.
It still lives off the jocks, the cool kids, you know?
Yeah, and then everybody's just kind of going with the trend.
Right. So you either like go with the trend or you step away. And I think it's just my maturity and my manhood now that I'm like, yo, I don't care to fit in. Like I'm gonna just step away. I'm gonna do my own thing. Cause you know what? That has been the best bet every time.
That was a dope point. When do you feel like in your life you made that switch? And what caused that? Because there's something I feel that causes that creates that shift.
That's deep. Sorry, I just started reminiscing. What caused that? I mean, when do you feel like you have that confidence? And so you had like a specific moment
in the last year, yes. In the last 12 months, this is recent.
Okay, yeah. So I was actually going to say it was probably the last 12 or 13 months.
See?
And so it was a series of moments because I needed a moment for every section of my life. So the moment happened romantically, the moment happened intellectually, the moment happened spiritually, the moment happened career-wise, professionally. And so I've had all of those moments in the last year where I'm like, okay, do what you know is right.
What a year.
Bruh. And I moved back to LA in that year. I'm at Drexel. Leaders Up calls me. And Leaders Up is the company, one of the startups I work with now. So I work with two ed tech. Yeah.
Corey a part of it?
Corey Matthews, right? You got Jeffrey Wallace, right? Who I think is actually in New Zealand right now giving a speech on like workforce development and the work that we're doing. So they call me and they're like, yo, Miles, we see that you have like 100 videos on YouTube about academic excellence, right? Because what happened was at Drexel, all the students wanted to ask me questions like 2, 3 a.m. because now I'm the cool advisor, I'm the cool professor. Exactly. And I'm like, yo, I actually sleep at 2 a.m.
People actually sleep.
I'm knocked out.
Right.
And so I put up about 100 YouTube videos about what we usually talked about academically for them to succeed. That was actually a precursor to the book, right? I was like, I got to continue to find ways. Somebody was like, man, if you had all these videos in a book, that would be great. So I was like, let me write this book for my students. So I'm writing it, and that's the mindset that I had when writing it. So then Leaders Up is like, yo, we would love for you to come do that for us and develop a digital community and an in-person community on learning in like abstract ways, right? Because the formal education system is not necessarily supporting our culture, supporting our people, supporting the community that we have, right? And I'm talking about the Leaders Up community, right? Leaders Up culture. And so, or the culture that we're trying to create. So I pack up all my stuff and I move in 13 days and just go across the country, move to LA, sleep on my dad's couch for like 7 months, which was like humbling.
Yeah, very.
I was just this rock star professor across the nation. I moved back to LA and realized the cost of living difference between Philadelphia and LA is huge.
It's still huge, right?
And that I had to get my life back together, right? I was like, where I wanted to live versus where I could afford to live was just a completely different gap. It's a huge gap. So now I'm like, how do I fill this gap? So I just get obsessed with trying to make money, right? Start doing that. It's positively working. But then when I started telling people the reasons like why I wrote my book versus like trying to get money from my book, then like people would buy like 5 copies versus one copy.
Yeah.
Right? That was huge. My grandma died January 7th, 2017. My grandma raised me for like a year and a half in Queens, New York, right? So I moved around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And when she died, she was like my angel on earth. She was the first person to believe in me more than I believed in myself. Right. So we talked about that, how people can see your potential, see who you are before you even see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then they asked me to speak at her funeral. Right. And so that was a huge moment for me where I realized family matters. And I need to start loving and appreciating my family more, because I've been taking it for granted, like a 20-something-year-old, man living in a major city. Like,
man,
it's a lot of fun out there.
Now. Yeah.
But there's not a lot of family out there. And I was like, I gotta reprioritize myself. So I said, this is my transformation year, 2017. I would not end this year being the same man that I started off being this year. And I had to make that an intentional decision. And then I felt like God in the universe was like, all right, cool. Like, you said you wanted it. Slap in the face number one.
All right,
then he just
hit you with it. Yep. Nice. Yeah, and it's coming
with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still getting hit and punched right now. But I think what happened was that I had to find peace between who I am today and who I'm trying to become. And I think that was it. And realizing that I can't live in the past, for better or for worse.
Right.
And so at Leaders Up, they were like, we want huge results. We don't want just the minimum. Right. And I'm like, for sure, I'll step up. Right. Stepped up in a major way. Now I have a national program called the Power Up Series within Leaders Up that's being launched in Chicago. It just got launched in Chicago last month. And then it's already launched in LA. Right. So LA did it. After a month of that, Chicago was like, we need that. And then now the San Francisco Bay Area department is like, we need that too. So by November, right, I should actually have a national program that I created that will have a digital and in-person community that's teaching people how to manifest their destiny and their purpose through their career and through their educational lessons, right? Because the greatest among us shall serve, right?
Right.
And so I started meeting my role models to understand their behaviors.
Right.
And so July 9th, 2017, I go to Houston. Shout out to Houston, Harvey, and everything like that. Really hope everyone can recover and gain strength and find that this was a challenge that you're able to overcome if you're still here today. So if you're in Houston, like, you're a conqueror. And I went to Houston to learn how to be a conqueror from Eric Thomas, who was like Dr. Eric Thomas.
I saw that post when you went there.
Bruh.
Yeah.
That was the specific moment. Like, so you're asking what was that day of change?
Yeah.
I saw 5 black male millionaires sit on a stage and tell me their story of how they succeeded and their behaviors, their mindsets, their priorities, and how they keep those priorities, why they do.
What would you say? What would you give in terms of their priorities for you?
For me?
Like, what would you take for yourself from that?
The priorities is that you have to practice what you preach, first of all. And you have to know the behaviors of everything that you want to do. Right. So the greatest phrase that I got from that was, the greatest among us shall serve, and know who you're becoming.
Wow.
So the greatest among us shall serve and know who you're becoming. So the greatest among us shall serve. It's a biblical quote. I don't know who said it, James, John, right, all that. I'm still working on that part.
Still finding
still finding my road in Christ, right? Like, it's a journey.
Yep.
But what I think is most amazing about the greatest among us shall serve is that it helped change my mindset about business and about how we add value to people's lives. So the greatest among us shall serve means that you're adding value for, like, the best way for you to add value. So why do I want people to buy my book? I want them to buy my book because I know it'll add value to your perspective on how you learn from everything outside of class. Right. In addition to what you need to know inside of class. When Steve Jobs created the iPod, he was thinking about serving people who love to listen to music. Right. Right?
That was the focus, yeah.
And he's not charging us the 4 years of technology mistakes that it took for him to get there. He's only charging us what it takes to get it today. Right. Which is a portion of the overall value that it adds. Right. My songs, my playlists that are on my iPhone right now add so much value to my life on a daily basis.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's worth the $800 that I paid to buy this iPhone. and the whatever the subscription cost is for iTunes.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that part.
Right, that pops up every month, right? Yeah, so I think that's something that changed my perspective on July 9th, 2017 at the Eric Thomas Stay Ready conference in Houston, is that I learned to start serving others for the sake of serving others. And then in addition to that, know who you're becoming. I think a lot of times I've lied to myself. And tell me this, Val.
What do you mean?
Have you lied to yourself?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Yo, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I think my let's say becoming into what I would call like maturity in manhood.
Yeah.
Is from number one, finally being honest. I've been honest in a few areas.
Like how?
Right.
Where?
Right.
Who?
So number one, okay. All right. So number one would be, how you said that LA tends to be a conformist society, right? So what happened for me was, I started making money pretty early in my business. Okay. So first 2 years, my business is doing over $1 million a year in sales.
Nice.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So I'm successful at doing a lot. Now what I'm seeing a lot of other people do in LA is, you got a little bit of money in your pocket. What do?
Right.
You get a nice car. You start. So I'm balling out, right? I'm balling out. I'm living next to ball players and stuff. And
yeah,
I mean, it was fine. Looking back, do I regret it? Nope. At
the end of the day. Sounds fun.
At the end of the day. And, my mom's calling me like, son, like, I can't believe you pay this much rent. Like, this is a mortgage. Like, you need to be, this is more than a mortgage. Like, This is crazy, right? So, but to me, I guess the thinking that I had was, this is what you do. But here's where it started to go downhill was I started to just completely focus on having a certain image, maintaining that image. And my business started to, decline. And I ignored that. I ignored that for a while. It's like, I'm no longer focusing on what it took to do what I had to do in the business to get it to where it's at, right? It's like stopping focusing on the day-to-day and more so focusing on looking good.
Yeah.
So I stopped being honest with myself about where I was at.
Yeah.
A part of that though was being a people pleaser. I know that. Doing things in a way where others wanted me to do it. So living somebody else's narrative, and it's crazy because looking back, it's like I knew it, but I didn't know where it would lead me down the road. I didn't know that it's gonna lead to a dead end, because it did. So, obviously I started the gym, partnered with, some of my closest people and my business partners started the gym. The gym was great.
Yeah.
But I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was just what I knew people wanted to do. So I did it with them.
Right.
After for a while, it got to the point where I was like, I'm sick of this. Like, I don't even feel, I feel empty. Started to feel empty.
Wow.
And I was forced to be honest.
So how did you fill yourself up? Or how are you filling yourself up?
That's a good question, man. You mean back then? Because now I made a decision to make it a part of my life to fill myself up.
Well, okay, so tell me, I want to know more about like how you fill yourself up now.
Okay, great.
Right.
So all that stuff happened. Let's just say, I could get into detail of that. So I started making new decisions. So now what I do is I say no to most things. That's number one.
Okay, no to most things.
I say no to most things. So, but what I do to fill myself up is I make sure I work out.
Yeah.
So physical, I take care of my physical, I take care of my emotional and mental. How? By, connection with friends, with family, staying connected with friends and family. So that's emotional and mental. Money-wise, right? I'm investing. So a portion of everything I make, I always put away for myself.
Nice.
Always put away. And I got into investing, so I invest. I don't really talk about it, but I invest and I trade. I know how to trade now.
Oh, okay.
But it took me a year and a half to learn how to do that.
Wow.
So I trade my money and it grows in an account.
Nice.
Okay,
compound
so that's
interest.
Right.
In time.
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like taking care of the physical, making sure I work out, the emotional, the mental, making sure I'm connected with people, the spiritual. So spiritual, by that I mean making sure that the things that I do fulfills me. That's what I mean by spiritual. Like, you know.
Talk about that more. I like that.
Right. So this entire project, obviously I want to reach more people. I want to put myself out there, but it's because I truly believe that these conversations, that people are going to listen to this and their lives are going to be changed. Wow. People are going to listen to two black men talking
right.
About this. And these conversations I know don't happen often.
No.
Most people don't have access to these kinds of conversations. Most really black men don't. That's really for sure. Don't. So I know by hearing this, people are gonna be like, wow, like look at these two good-looking, successful dudes who've gone through what they've gone through, and look at where they are now. Yeah. So I'm doing this to make a difference. That's why I can never get tired of this. In fact, I'm paying money to do this. Yeah. I'm spending my own money to do this. Right. You know, they kick to the cameras, to the lights, and then you're spending your time, which is the most valuable asset.
Right.
To come here and do this because you believe in the mission.
Absolutely.
It's like, let's collaborate.
Yeah.
So for me, spiritually, I feel like this feeds me, this fills my soul by doing this because I feel like I'm serving. You said serve. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was serving. I didn't feel like I was serving for the last 3 years. So I had to, I literally stopped dead in my tracks. My girlfriend at the time was like, well, you need to do business. You need to make sure you make your money. I go, but if it's not serving people, I'm cool. I'm cool. Right. I'll go back to working shifts in the hospital. Yeah. I'll do that. And guess what? That's what I did. Wow. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm willing to do that so I can literally flip and reframe what I'm doing in a way where I believe I'm truly serving other people. And that's what this is all about. And I'm sure this is what your book is about too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know? I think when you find that way, when you find that method of how to fill yourself up consistently, then you can do so much. Now the world is your oyster. Like now it's your playground. Now you can do whatever you want, right? And it's not that you couldn't do whatever you wanted before. Right. But you know what you want. So now you can do it. And now you're unafraid. It seems unapologetic about being the person that you want to be, how you want to be. Yeah. And I think that's an epiphany that I would say I probably had a month ago. I got to a moment, it was a low moment, right? Leaders up, I felt like I was on the cusp of being fired, right? Because I didn't achieve our results that I promised I would achieve, right? And I'm a natural overachiever. I have never missed the bar, really. Right. I'll be honest. Like, and if I have, I'll find a way to get back to the bar. Right. Like my perseverance is probably my greatest skill because I really don't know how to quit on what I'm going for. It's an amazing skill to have too. I think it's the most valuable. The best skill to have. Like, yep. You go into an interview, don't leave the interview without saying at one point in time, I don't know how to quit. Or I persevered through everything. Or I'll figure it out eventually. Give me time, I will make time, I'll make it. I might struggle through it, but I'll make it, I'll make something happen. Right. I will make something happen. So that's happening, and at the same time, I'm working with Debt Like WTF, right, which is like that tech company that I told you about with the student loans and helping people educate and manage their student loans. Mm-hmm. And so both of those people in the same week, like it was Tuesday and then Thursday. Right. And both of them told me the same week, yo, we really feel like you're just not getting the results that we expected from you. Oh, they got real with it. Right. Oh. And these are people I look up to. Like I've known Corey since day one of college. Like I'm moving in and I didn't even put down my first pillow or whatever. And I met Corey on the bottom floor of Reber Terrace at freaking UCLA. You know what I'm saying? and so I'll never forget that moment. So that hurts, right? And I got mad at them for a week. Why? Because I'm like, don't tell me I'm not doing it. So I'm finding every excuse possible for why it's not my fault, right? And I'm like, and then my mentor runs the DLWTF company, right? So his name is Paris, and he's like, yo, you didn't hit your results. Like, as great, he's like, you need to learn the difference between a souffle and the meal. That big. He was like, you go above and beyond. You did more than else in both of these organizations. I'm spending more time. I'm giving up Saturdays. I'm willing to fly around the whole freaking country. I'm willing to do everything everyone else is not willing to do. But all of that is a souffle, dessert. I wasn't asked to do it. It's not required. It's not necessarily nutritious. It's delicious though, right? It looks good. It's amazing. Good, yeah. But what do you actually need to sustain in this company? Meat, your steak, your potatoes, your veggies, you know, whatever your meal is supposed to be, you need that main meal, right?
Right.
And he was like, you giving me dessert, but I ain't get the main meal. So eventually, if you keep eating dessert, you get sick. If you don't never eat your actual veggies, and right? You know, like
right.
For every 2-year-old watching this right now, your mom's right. Eat your asparagus. But it's like, so I had to come to terms with myself and say, okay, I got to step up.
Right.
I've done this before. I've had to talk about maybe not hitting the mark or not being on track and having to step up to meet it. I've been under pressure before. I know how to excel in that. Let's do it. And so in a matter of a month, I achieved more results than I did in a year. And it goes back to what you said. What I did over that year was like the gym. I didn't really want to do it that way. I didn't think that was the greatest way to do it. And everybody was saying, oh, we should do it this way or that way. And then I got the confidence after that Eric Thomas conference, right, on July 9th, and I said, no, I'm going to do it my way. If I'm going to get fired, y'all gonna fire me for being Miles.
Good.
Not for me being fired for not doing what I want. In a matter of 1 month, I quadrupled our numbers that I was supposed to get, right? Like as far as like the people that we're impacting and serving, I quadrupled the numbers and I had a dramatic increase in like all of our digital communities and social increase, the impact I was able to make. And they're like, whoa. But I broke every rule.
Exactly. See, yeah.
And then we created new rules so that I wouldn't be breaking rules.
Did you ever have people like talking about you when you were doing that? Because you were now stepping outside the box.
Yeah. I think I'm in that era right now. Yeah. So people are now like, what is Miles doing? Like, what's happening?
They're getting talked about.
And they're getting talked about because they're like, that's not how we said we're going to do this. Like, Miles unorthodox. Good. And I'm like, yeah.
Very good.
I'm unorthodox.
I'm
aggressive, I'm passionate, and I'm gonna do it my way.
My man, yeah.
You know, that's just.
But I feel like you got to that point where your back was against the wall and you made a decision.
Yeah.
To make that decision.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happens for most people. There's that moment. And there's that moment that comes to where it's like you're basically having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's a fork in the road. I have to keep doing this, and I know where that's going to lead.
Right.
Or I got to do what I've been afraid to do. As I feel like that's what you want to end.
And what you're afraid to do is probably what you're called to do.
Say that again.
What you're afraid to do is probably what you are called to do. You know, listen to your calling. I'm listening to Devon Franklin.
Yep.
Love that guy, right? Mm-hmm. One church, like awesome church in LA, right? And I've been going there for like a month, so I actually really like it. And he said, we have this alarm that goes off on our phone. We get a call on our phone and we ignore it, or snooze it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, there's an awakening in your spirit that when God is calling. And unfortunately, most of us press ignore or snooze.
Wow.
And I feel like it's time that like I'm picking up the phone. What's that song? Pick up the phone, baby.
I was gonna say that.
I know you're home, baby.
Yeah.
It's a good song. I actually really like it. Definitely on a playlist right now.
Me too.
So I started answering my calling, and I decided that like 3 weeks ago, right. You know, or this year, over time, when I think about it in retrospect. But the major moment was for sure the Eric Thomas Stay Ready Conference, July 9th. That was the moment I said, I'm now going to make the hard decisions that I've been afraid to make.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's only like, what, September 10th? 11th, something like that, right? 10th, right? So in the last 3 months, I've answered the phone when God's called. Sometimes I've ignored it and I had to call right back because I was scared in the moment, you know? And I think an example of that is I came back in July 9th and I had to break up with my girlfriend July 11th. And so that was necessary because I knew we weren't supposed to be together. I knew we weren't meant to go. I absolutely knew. And
how long were you together?
We were together like about 7 or 8 months at that point officially. So yeah, 7 or 8 months officially. And I just knew in my heart and the spirit, right? So that was the first thing. Like, okay, look, I have to break up with you.
And the thing is,
we need to do this. I have to move forward. And I was like, we're not what we need spiritually for each other.
But people think that's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a bad. I think it's great that you recognize in your spirit that this one isn't the right one.
And it's because we're afraid of the wrong things.
Yeah.
We're afraid to be alone. We're afraid this might be the last chance we have at love. And that keeps us locked and held in a place that we know we're not supposed to be. I think people get comfortable and scared of having to try. Let's go back to that, back to this effort.
I have to try again.
I have to keep trying.
I have to get to know someone new. Yeah.
You're going to have to keep trying.
That's how that's life. Right.
What?
Right.
You know, try to sit down. No, you just sit down. Like, no one's trying to sit down. You're squatting at this point. Like, there's no such thing as try. Like, in Swahili, the word try doesn't exist.
It doesn't even exist.
It's impossible. So you could go to and you speak in Swahili, like, someone's going to be like, translate, I'm trying to go to this place by 9 o'clock. Like, so are you going or are you not going?
Simple.
Is that it? That's it. Answer your calling. Step into it. And I don't know where trying came from in the English language. Like, I don't know what England was thinking, but they were like, yo, we need a passive aggressive way to like not do something.
Not do something.
Hey, can you come out today? Meet us at 2 o'clock? Oh, I'll try. What do you mean?
Right.
Are you coming or are you not coming? Because when 2 o'clock hits, you're either here or you're not here.
That's it.
Don't tell me you're trying to be here.
I think the word that meaning. I mean, we don't need to go into that much, but I feel like try, it meant something specific, like to practice something. I think that's what it really means. But I think over time, as you know, words start to take on a new meaning as more and more people. Yeah, but no, you're right. You're right. It's dang man, that it's interesting that you say that about just about like having to swing again.
Yeah. So I want to know what made you decide that, like, how did you decide your habits to be fulfilled? Like, how did you decide that? Like, I
that's a good one. Well, I'll say this.
Even when there is a calling, someone's calling your phone, you still got to decide to
do it or not do it.
Answer.
Right? right.
You know, so I think that's something that I'm figuring out now is, you know, having power and confidence in my decisions. But I want to understand your process, you know, because I feel like in your fulfill yourself journey, like you said, it happened over the last 12 months and you just decided to do it.
Like,
you know, so we're on the same path. So tell me what you're doing.
So, okay. So I got you, as you know, I have this podcast going.
Right.
I have Herbalife.
Right.
And then I'm a nurse. So right now I'm doing shifts. I do about 3 shifts a week.
Okay. They're like 12-hour shifts though, right?
Yeah. You just get used to it though. People are like, oh my God, but it's like, I don't know, you get used to the intensity. I think as human beings we can adapt.
I started waking up earlier and people were like, oh my God, so like what time do you go to sleep? I was like, just earlier. Like, and they're like, what? And then I tell people I work 16-hour days. I'm like, oh my God, you work 16? I was like, I would be awake for 16 hours anyway. So I'm just deciding to just not go to happy hour on Tuesday.
Thank you.
I'm actually just going to just keep working.
Thank you.
Serving.
Right. Right. So for each thing, it's like, okay, I know in Herbalife, I want to get here. I'm trying to get to this goal.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? First of all, I need to be fit.
Right.
I can't preach wellness and health and then not look the part. I have to look the part.
Facts.
So what do I need to do to look the part? Well, I need to get on my eating. I need to get on my workouts.
Yeah.
So there it is. So I create habits based on my goals. So whatever my goal is, what do I need to make sure that happens so I can reach that goal?
You create habits to reach your goal. I think that's a statement right there. That could have been the whole podcast right there.
That's we're good with that. Yeah, man. So even if it was like, for example, when I learned trading, so I made it a habit, you know, an hour a day, but now it's not an hour a day anymore. It's 15 and 20 minutes. As soon as I wake up, literally, I get my computer, I open it up, I go on the thing, and I look, and I do certain things, and now it becomes a habit. So it's like when you make something a habit, the results will come automatically.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make it a habit. Habits are very hard. That's why you have to set up structures around you to support you, because I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to this workout stuff, I actually don't really enjoy working out like that. I really don't.
That's crazy.
I know, I really don't. But here's what I do.
Mr. Workout.
I know, man. I know, man.
Like if anything else,
I'm telling you, people don't know behind the scenes what I got to do to stay on it, man.
Yeah.
Because I fall off like that. If I feel I don't need to, if I get to where I want to get,
yeah,
you ain't gonna catch me in the gym. You will not see me in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I have friends that I meet with, and I go, yo, okay, let's meet up at 8. I'm not gonna disappoint them and not be there. So guess what? I'll show up at 8. Right. So if I'm showing up with them, I have to work out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I used to start a class because that would make me work out. So it's like certain things that force you to continue, because the greatest thing in life is, I think, is consistency. Like when you apply consistency to anything in life, it's only a matter of time. Yeah. You're gonna achieve whatever you want to achieve, whatever it is. Like eating, for example, clockwork. Every Sunday, every Thursday, I go to the market, I buy meat, I buy veggies, boom, I make it. And it's like, now everything has become a habit. So people are like, man, you're so fit. Well, it's like, I don't even think about it anymore.
Right. I think that's the beauty of it, is that when you get your habits to be so automated that you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, then you can think about other stuff, right? Like what used to take an hour of trading, like now it's 15 20 minutes. Yeah. And so now you have another 40 minutes of just greatness that you can just add on to your day. Because you're like, this is automatic. But I think people hate like, oh, this is a whole hour, this is taking forever. And then they never get good enough at it to be able to like reduce how much time it takes. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm.
And another thing too is that I think a lot of people try on so many things at once. Now there was a point in time when I did that, but I would say if you're gonna try on so many different things, like try to take on habits. This is what, for example, I'm gonna give a good example. So when I teach people to get healthy, to lose weight, whatever it is, okay? Number one, you eat fast food all the time. Number two, you don't work out. So I'm not gonna have you try to eat healthy and try to start working out at the same time. No. Right. Let's start with actually getting your food right. Let's get your meals right. Okay, let's actually start with breakfast. Okay, you know, I do shakes for breakfast because it's easy, convenient, nutritious. So it's like, okay, make your shake every day for a week, 7 days. Okay, right. Now you're done. That's a habit now, kind of. Right. It takes longer. Yeah. But it's like, okay, I got the hang of it.
Right.
So now you get the eating part down, you know, and now you feel confident. You don't think about it anymore. Okay, now I know you're gonna eat well. Let's start to incorporate working out. So it's like you gotta take on one thing at a time, whether it be in business, whether it be, you know, with whatever. And even with building this, it's a company now. You know, I have 3 employees. It's like, okay, well, the first thing I had to do is, even with this podcast, I had to learn how to I had to learn how to reach out to people. And then now I have someone else helping me out with that.
Right.
It's like, say this way, do it this way. Now, when I reach out though, it's me. It's always me. When I'm always doing the reach out, it's me. But the correspondence is now I teach somebody else to do it. So I don't have to think about that anymore, you know?
Right, yeah.
There's a lot to it, man. There's a lot to it. But it came from lessons, so.
Yeah.
It came from lessons.
Those lessons are awesome. Like, I was listening to Ace Hood's album.
Let's go.
So he has a new album, right? It's awesome. I don't know what it's called, but he has this one interlude part 1.
Yeah.
Right? He has 2 interludes on there. Interlude part 1. And here's a portion where he says, you know, good thing happens, thank God. Bad thing happens, thank God. And because that's lessons. So like as you were saying that, I'm like, yo, like it's lessons. It's like literally right there. And I think we don't, and I'm including myself in this, that we don't have a gratitude for our lessons, right? And it hit me because there was this guy who was like in Houston with his son. Son had like, a little Elmo backpack or something like that, right? News lady walks up and she's just like, oh my gosh, how horrible is this? This is awful. And look at the storm. And like, did you lose everything too? He's like, man, we lost everything. We don't have anything, just my son's backpack and what he can get. And that's it, right? But he was like, thank God for this experience. Because I got my son. Who cares about that house?
Right.
I could build another house. I can go get a blueprint. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
like,
yeah.
It's good. Ain't no blueprint for this son though.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, thank God. And I was like, wow, like you literally are going through what America thinks is the worst thing that's probably gonna happen this year besides Trump.
Right.
And you are like actually like still thankful, right? Because you recognize that you need that experience. You recognize that you need that lesson. You recognize that there's value and that there's still opportunity. There's still something to grow from. And I think that's just like awesome to hear from people, because a lot of people I think are just very negative.
Yeah.
I started putting so much positivity on my Instagram because of all the negativity that was on my timeline.
Seriously, man.
Like people are like black, educated, and petty. And like it's funny until it's like serious. You realize that people never really say positive things. And it's the same people who are complaining about life, same people who are unsatisfied with life, same people complaining and putting off all the reasons for not succeeding on someone else. And I caught myself in that loop. I catch myself in that loop consistently. That's a daily fight.
Right.
So I really think that's it's important that people stay fulfilled. I love how you're talking about building the habits, but building it step by step.
Yeah.
Because I was Mr. trying to do it all.
Yeah.
And so you actually just confirmed a life decision that I made 3 weeks ago. Or no, I'm sorry, like 2 months ago. Where I stopped selling my books in person. Right. I stopped. I used to have these Sophistic Ratchet shirts.
I know what you're talking about. I used to see that.
And I was selling Sophistic Ratchet shirts, True Religion jeans, books, all out the trunk of my car. Felt super dope. Pull up, pop up in the truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just like I had to show you and send you the video of like me opening my trunk selling these shirts. Like I sold the shirt on my back. I felt so great as a hustler. And then I'm like working at Leaders Up during the day, still working at DOWTF at night. And I was like, man, I'm burnt out. Whew. Too much at one time. And I said, you know what? I can set these systems up. My book is on Amazon. You really want it? Buy it from Amazon.
Nice. Very good.
Right? Boom. I was like, the t-shirts are awesome. The ROI is pretty low. It's more like a thing. You know what? I'll take time to make my own clothes sometimes. I'll rock that. Cool. But I don't need to always have my shirts on me trying to sell those, right? Like that's not the best way for me to serve, right? My best service was writing the book. I'm gonna let it do its thing.
Yeah.
Right? My best service was not selling True Religion jeans. Like I have so many other skills and lessons to learn.
Yeah.
So then I said, I'm gonna focus on Leaders Up. I'm gonna focus on DOWTF. It also took that conversation, them saying you didn't hit your results. So I'm like, well, I'm a result getter.
Let's go.
It's the last time you'll ever have this conversation with me. And after I stopped blaming them,
you needed
I
to hear
changed
that,
my
though.
habits. For sure. I'm like I think I have I'm like Russell Westbrook in the sense that like I feel like he finds like fake reasons to be mad and he holds on to it the whole game. And so
But he does that on purpose.
He does it on purpose because he knows he plays better in anger, right? And so when Corey was like, "Yo, Miles, you didn't hit your results," because he's like my direct leader, and I was like, "Okay." I got mad at Corey for like a week, and then after that, I started reflecting and thinking like, "Okay, this is just me. I didn't get my results. You're right. It's a numbers game. Like, look at the tracker.
Right. Right.
It's right there." And I said, "What's the best thing that I can do? How can I handle the situation with love?" And the best thing to do is to keep my promise and go get my results, which is just asking me to be my best me, which is serve other people and help them navigate their own educational journey to help manifest their destiny. And I was like, that's it.
Right.
Know who you're becoming. Be yourself. Do it your way. It's the best way. It's the way you're supposed to. And if it leads to a roadblock, it leads to a major failure in life, then that's a lesson that you needed for you to be prepared for when it really counts. Good thing happened, thank God. Bad thing happened,
Thank God.
Because that's lessons.
Man.
Ace Hood.
Ace Hood, hip hop lessons, yo, man.
And I didn't know this until the album, but he's actually DJ Khaled's like mentee. Like he was signed to DJ Khaled's like record label.
I didn't know that.
Somehow. Yeah, I didn't know it either until he talked about it on like one of the interludes, how he like broke away from We the Best. Right? And I was like, well, I only know one person that says We the Best.
right.
That's
So you know what you're talking about. Exactly.
And DJ Khaled's a super motivational guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting when he went viral for Snapchat and being lost in the jacuzzi, or the jet ski. He's lost on a jet ski coming from Rick Ross's house in Miami to his own house.
Just terrible.
I saw an interview that he did like last week on that. And he said all he was doing was talking to himself, trying to keep himself motivated and focused. Right? So they don't want you to win. They don't want you to succeed. He says there's a they in his head that he's thinking of. But everybody took it and ran it and added their own they. So by being himself and getting himself prepared and having the mindset to fulfill himself, he actually fulfilled millions of people along the process. And I think that's the key.
That's the key.
That's the secret to success. That by preparing yourself to be your best and letting the world see a portion of that story or how much of that story that you want to show, your story, your life, that's how you impact the world.
Right.
At the same time right now, you're learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm learning. We're having a conversation.
Yep.
We're recapping.
Yep.
Like there's cameras and everything, but this is just like homeboys, like just catching up.
Just catching up.
On camera.
Mm-hmm.
But by doing that, we know our value to our lives, right? We're gonna leave this more fulfilled. And then millions of people will be able to watch it and listen to it. And they might get fulfilled too. Or they might know how to fulfill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have this convo, people. You can do this.
Right.
You can sit down with your friends and have this conversation. And if you can't, maybe you should change your top 5. So that's something Eric Thomas taught me too. He's like, who's in your top 5?
Right.
Who are you hanging out with all the time? Right. And I remember I got a text. It was from my girlfriend at the time. And it was like a very salty text. Like, yeah, you ever feel like you could sense someone's energy through a text sometimes? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like you're mad about something. Like I can tell how you're texting. Like I can. Like, it's an interesting body language to texting. Right. And she sent me a text that said like I'm not really happy right now. And then that moment, Eric Thompson's like, who do you need to cut out your top 5? I had just written her down. She was number 1 in the top 5.
Ooh.
Eric Thomas says, who do you need to cut out your top 5? Zzz, zzz.
Oh. Trying to match.
I guess I gotta. I knew it.
I
knew it instantly. But they talked a lot about like discipline, and I think that's what was also huge. And I think you're talking about that too. These habits are disciplines,
right.
Self-control.
Right.
And a lot of people just don't want to parent themselves.
Nope. Right.
And have that discipline.
Well, yeah, that's that discipline. With enough discipline, then you can achieve anything you want. But that's the hard part, though. It's not easy to be disciplined. It's not, but it's rewarding. Discipline is how you achieve.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you achieve. So
yeah, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
What's one of your biggest disciplines?
Mine?
That's not.
It's more of a mental. There's nothing physical about to answer that.
Really?
It's like for me, it's
nothing physical. Cause I thought you were gonna say like, oh, my morning shake again. Like
yeah, actually, but I would
where's
say
the mental part of that though?
Even beyond now, it's even beyond that. I would say for me, my biggest discipline is my mental talk, like what I tell myself and how I talk to myself in every situation, especially the bad ones.
So how do you talk to yourself?
We're
not here. It's you.
It's just me and myself, right?
Something catastrophic just happened.
Right. I'm my biggest cheerleader. No matter what, I'm my best friend. I'm my own best friend. I'm my biggest cheerleader. And it even happens when I'm going through a workout. I do CrossFit. So it's like when you first starting to work out, I'm like, it's cool. By the time you get to the middle, I don't think I can finish the workout. And this happens every day I do it, right? But it's like, Val, you know, this is the type of stuff I say. I say, Val, you chose this life, man. It's all good. You'll get it. You chose this life. This is what you chose. This is what you chose. I always tell myself that, right? Or even if it's, you know, I didn't tell this much in the story, but 12 months ago, you know, I went from having what I would call really successful to being dead broke. Like, you know, and I remember telling myself, it's all good, man. This is temporary. Look, let's just do what we got to do and take control of what we need to. So that I'm my own counselor, my own coach, my own cheerleader, my own supporter, my own confidant. Wow. And I think that if people can develop that kind of self-talk, they can not only can they get through any situation, that's number one, but number two, they'll find success in anything they're doing. Before this right here, I was mad nervous. Every single thing that we do, especially this video stuff. I mean, I've done video, and I've done public speaking, but man, this is new to me. Yeah. So literally, we're sitting down, we're about to mic up. I'm like, but I'm telling myself, enjoy the ride, man. Enjoy the ride. I was like, well, we'll see what happens. Enjoy the ride. Right. You know? Yeah. And people are so quick to beat themselves up. Man. You know, they're getting ready for work. Oh, I left the keys at the house. Oh, I'm so stupid. Why could I do? People tell themselves stuff like that. Yeah. Not me, man.
Every word matters too.
Yeah. So that, and I believe it takes discipline to have that kind of talk.
Yeah. And when did you start that? Like, when did you start to take control of your self-talk, or like your self-coaching, confidant, best friend?
I think it started young. It started young for me, and I really am thankful for my dad, because I think my dad was an example of someone who has positive self-talk, because I would see him go through things, right? Mm-hmm. And then he'd explain it to us, what he's going through. But then you look at him and you like, I mean, but you seem to be smiling through it. You seem to find the humor in whatever it is. Right. Like, he always finds the humor. It might be the suckiest situation. Yeah. But he'd be like, hey, well, at least I have my legs and my 2 feet or something. Like, he'll say something and laugh about it. Yeah. But he'll go through it. So I was like, man, if he's gonna be like that, then that's how I'm gonna be. Right. You know? Right. But there are times when in my business or in life, in relationships, where that has, you know, I've been less disciplined and I've gotten caught up into the negative self-talk. Yeah. And it takes discipline to build that back up. You gotta, you know, it's like that confidence. You gotta rebuild confidence. And I think that comes from, when I rebuild confidence, it's just because I focused on the things that I can control and just worked on that every day. And I feel like over and over time, I've rebuilt the way I talk to myself. But it definitely started from a young age. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So
I think that's awesome. And I think, like, a lot of times, you know, having that example, like, really, really matters. Mm-hmm. You know? And I think about that. Like, you gotta have that example. It's awesome when it's your dad, because, like, oh, okay, I look like you, so I should act like you. I should talk like you. Like, it's just automatic, you know? Right. You don't even have to think it; it just happens. And so, I think that's great. I think that's really great, and I really think about that sometimes, like, about my self-talk, and like how, like, I am at the same time one of the most confident people that I know. I'm also one of the most insecure people that I know. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm like, everyone feels like that.
Yeah, we all have it, yeah.
You have both sides. You just got to choose one.
We definitely have it, yeah.
Right, and I think, like, everything's daily. Like, I think we were talking about before, like, you have to choose to be a husband every day. You have to choose to be who you are every day. You have to choose to work out every day. Like, you have to choose to do this stuff. And we have to choose to speak positively to ourselves every single day and get that mindset right. Yeah, I think that's something that I'm good at for others, but I'm learning to do it for myself now. Right. Yeah, because I'm a people pleaser. So I've been trying to people please my whole life. And I felt like in the last month, I finally have gotten to a place where I'm like, I'm doing this for me. Mm-hmm. I'm doing what's best for me. I am actually going to talk positively to myself and be who I want to be. I want to be me. I want to be the greatest Miles Rashad Goodloe on the earth of the planet. Right. And I got to be positive to do that. I got to, like, positively talk to myself, because I was down after the results too. Like when I didn't hit my results for like Leaders Up or DOWTF, and I'm like, man, I suck. I'm whack. I'm horrible. You know, and so I got mad at them, then I got mad at myself. And then everybody noticed my energy shifted. And then people didn't want to be around me. This is all happening like in a week too. Like for some reason, I feel like everything in my life manifests pretty quickly. So,
hey, so I think it's a good thing, man.
It's a good thing. Yeah. It's a really good thing. And so it was just like really interesting seeing that and recognizing that like I'm talking myself down right now. You know, I was listening to songs that were sad. Like I just made everything like. So
you're just swimming in the puddle. You just in there just.
I just want to die. I just like, and I listened to a song that said that, you know, and then I started like being critical, and I was like, what? And I was it was funny. I was making a joke yesterday. I was hanging out with my homegirl Cherie. So she was singing this song. She was like, "Press me to that edge, all my friends are dead," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like that song." She was just like, "What? How can you not? It's so like fun." And I'm like, "All my friends are dead."
Right.
Push me to the edge. I was like, it sounds like a suicide song.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too.
It's going to be really hard for me to get excited about this. You know what I'm saying? I was not on my radar. And I think controlling what I want to hear and what I want to listen to on a consistent daily basis is something that has been my advantage, I think, over like the last few years. And has intentionally been my advantage this year in what I call my transformation year. Like, man. This is it. I decided this year.
I feel like we're just spitting knowledge right now. It's just nuts. Like I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. We could literally keep going too.
Yeah. There's so many different topics to just like talk about. Like, and I've written about a lot of this, like in my book. And I think one thing that I realized after I wrote my book was the action that needs to go behind this, right? Because this was about mastering college and what it takes. And the same thing it takes to master life in college, it's the same thing it takes to master life.
Period.
And I think we graduate college and we try to find ourselves, create ourselves, and no longer do we have a structure of discipline that's provided for us. We have to provide it all for ourselves. And it really comes down to like, that's why I think self-education matters, because it's also about understanding who you are. So you understand who to be and you can just step into that.
Right.
And I think what I've realized is that when I wrote the book, I thought I had a conclusive idea. I thought that was it. Like, bow, we're done. This is all you need to do. This is all you will ever be. And then I woke up the next day and the book was done. Right?
And then what?
I woke up another day. The book was already done 2 days ago. Then here we are, almost a year now. I published the book December 12th, 2016. So we're coming up on December in like 3 or 4 months from now. And I'm like, wow, like I can't live off of, you know, what I've done. I have to continue to be and be in the present. Now, like, a lot of us get stuck in the past or the future, but your watch should just say now. It is now 30, now o'clock, 15 past now.
Which is now.
Right.
That's right.
And I think when we start living in the now to create the future that we want, right? But we postpone our dreams, thinking it takes so much longer to get there. And if you realize that everything that you're visualizing in your head, everything that you imagine in your head can happen right now.
Look, we'll keep going, but we can.
Yeah, actually.
I gotta have you. Okay, so we gotta have you on one in the future, and then I know we'll have it all. We'll have it a lot more better together. But anyways, in closing, how do we find you?
Oh man,
how do we find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Miles R. Goodloe. Like, it's just my name.
So good LOE.
Good LOE. Yeah. So MILESRGOODLOE. Miles Goodloe. Miles R. Goodloe on Instagram. Miles R. Goodloe on Twitter. Miles R. Goodloe at gmail.com.
Right.
I I just got a milesrgoodloe.com, but it's not built out yet.
So you're gonna
I don't
build
know
that
when it happens and everything, but I'm working on it, people. It'll be there for sure by 2018.
Good.
Until then, hit me up on IG.
Good. So
And,
IG.
you can get my book on Amazon. So just type in self-education, and my book is usually one of the top 5 responses on Amazon for self-education.
That's smart. You did that on purpose. So self-education is great in higher education, guys. I'm just easier to just do. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, man. I just remember our college days, and it's just cool to see like just the ways we've gone, and how far we've come.
Right,
my man. Well,
yeah,
we'll save this convo to the next time we
to the
do
next
this.
time.